Monday. Sure sounds like we're going to see Michael Gallup for the first time in a long time on Monday.
Love seeing you do your little dance there and Baldy to those highlights. That was Mike McCarthy sort of dancing around it, Andrew. But it certainly sounds like he's trending that way. And that's because he says he's cleared all of the physical thresholds that come with the recovery back from that ACL tear. You know, he'll get his second padded practice in on Friday. And then they have that big ramp-up practice on Sunday ahead of Monday night. And they said that'll be a good determination. But he's been working his way into the team drills, and just hearing that he's cleared the physical threshold sort of tells you everything you need to know. Now, he did concede he's not going to be playing 70 plays in this game. It sounds like he'll be on a pitch count, but just having Michael Gallup back in the lineup will be huge for the Cowboys. As for tight end Dalton Schultz, it sounds like a similar situation. You know, he's dealing with the right knee issue, but he's been doing a little more each day, so they'll see how he does as the week progresses. But if he feels good on Sunday, sounds like he's got a chance to play on Monday. And when you get the injury report from today, you will not see Micah Parsons participating in practice. No need to get upset, Cowboy fans. He's dealing with a little bit of a cold, so they're just being careful with him.
He has a little bit of a cold. Michael Gallup, we have not seen him on the field since January 2nd when he did injure that knee. Meantime, the Giants are trying to get Jane to 3-0 for the first time since '09. What is Brian Daboll doing differently in New York other than winning football games?
Look, it's not just what Brian Daboll's doing, but what Wink Martindale is doing on the defensive side of the ball. And I loved the soundbite from safety Julian Love this week where he said, basically the message in that building this year is send it. What does he mean by that? Well, he says he wants the guys to play fast, free, without worrying about being perfect. Cowboys might have a hard time scouting this revamped Giants D, though, when you consider how different it does look like. Martindale's last week had a 6 DB front, safeties in the box, and winning games without their first-round edge rusher, Kayvon Thibodeau, who has returned this week following a sprained MCL in the preseason, along with Azeez Ojulari, who led the team in sacks last season. Now, Coach Daboll said they're both day-to-day, but they're on the close side. If both return, that could be quite the pass rush. And it was Thibodeau who was asked at his locker how he felt Wednesday post-practice. He said he was confident, and they were able to open it up and do a lot of things. So sounds like he is trending in the right direction. But even Mike McCarthy talked about this today when you consider the fact the Cowboys have had their number in recent years. This is a completely different Giants team. Their 2 wins in the first 2 weeks are more than they had through 7 last season.
Have not been 2-0 since 16. Last time they made the postseason, trying to get to 3-0 for the first time since '09. Thank you, Jane Slater in Dallas. That game is on Monday night. Oh, by the way, we only have 1 game this coming Monday night. We have 4 games, however, in the 4 o'clock window on Sunday. And the sneaky good game of the week, Justin Herbert and the Chargers against that revitalized Jaguars front 7. Herbert, though, dealing with a rib cartilage injury.
Justin is day-to-day. I think he's gotten a lot of rest since the last game. But I think the nature of the week is it's truly going to be case-by-case, day-by-day basis. I know that he's feeling more comfortable. I know that he was able to do some light throwing yesterday, some rotational work. But we're just going to take it day by day and see where his comfort level is and truly trust him and let him kind of be the guide of where we're at and make sure we're prepared either way.
Oh, for what it's worth. Hi there, Ian Rappaport. Tom Pelissero back with us from Cleveland as well. Austin Eckler went on Twitch last night, Ian. Said that Herbert, looked okay in the training room day to day, but he said, he did have a rib cartilage injury before he played through it. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if we knew that. What do we know about this week?
I was not on Twitch last night, so I will defer to all the people on that thing for whatever Austin Eckler said about that. Very good news, though, for the Chargers that Justin Herbert was able to be out at practice. And that was really, there's going to be a couple of different benchmarks, a couple of different tests this week to see whether or not he's going to be out there. But just being able to practice with that rib cartilage fracture was, certainly one of the biggest early ones for him. And it sounds like it's going to be more of a pain tolerance issue than a can he function issue, which is good because generally when you have someone as tough as Justin Herbert, who really only missed 1 play on Thursday night, ended up throwing a 40-yard strike down the field despite not being able to throw it 3 yards on the play before. If he's able to battle through that, you'd think he'd be able to play on Sunday. So it sounds like it's headed in the right direction, but he's got to be able to get through Friday's practice until we know for sure.
And Ian, you're right. There are additional tests. It's also a pain tolerance issue for Justin Herbert and a functionality issue. You saw when he tried to take off running a couple of plays before he threw that dart at the end of the game, and he flat out couldn't do it. There are different things that you can do for an injury like this. This is not entirely uncommon among quarterbacks. You also can rest assured the Chargers are not going to put Justin Herbert on the field if they feel like he is at a medical risk. If he ends up starting that game on Sunday against the Jaguars, it's because their doctors have said that he's in a good position to do it, and because Herbert can function at a high enough level, not just competitively, but also to keep himself healthy as well.
I have to wonder as well if Lindsley, the center, his status has anything to do with Justin Herbert's participation on Sunday against that Jaguars front seven that sacked. Corey, thank you. Teamwork here. Corey Lindsley. I was going to say a different Lindsley. Thank you, Ian, against a Jaguars team that sacked Matt Ryan 5 times last week. Meantime, let's get to Lamar Jackson. Had a sleeve, Ian, over his right arm yesterday. Really didn't throw much in Baltimore as the Ravens opened up a new week of practice. What do you know about him?
It sounds like he didn't throw at all. A compression sleeve on his right arm, and talked after practice and said basically he's fine. Coach John Harbaugh alluded to it being just kind of the bumps and bruises of the season, so really not a lot of alarm for Lamar Jackson. And if you go back and watch it, right before he busted out that 75-yard run, which you're actually seeing right here, he got hit in the right elbow, the same right elbow that was all kind of taken care of during practice. So perhaps that is all what it's from. You didn't sense any concern there. It sounds like later in the week, which could be today or could be Friday, you'll see Lamar Jackson throw a little bit. And Harbaugh was very clear he is expected to play on Sunday.
Lamar Jackson said the same thing, Ian, that I'm going to be throwing a lot of passes on Sunday. So no outward concern from the Ravens, though certainly if you have a situation where Lamar's not able to throw the football effectively based on what he's dealing with the elbow, that's not exactly something that they would broadcast publicly either. So we'll monitor over the next couple of days. Was listed as limited in practice on Wednesday, had that compression sleeve on. We'll see by Sunday whether or not he's still wearing that sleeve and how much he's able to do and do what Lamar Jackson always does on the field.
And we'll find out on Monday how much Kenny Golladay is playing for the Giants, Ian. This one, I think we should be looking at here. Is there a breaking point anytime soon for what's going on in New York? Kenny Galladay's not playing 2 snaps. Said yesterday, his coaches are co-workers, nothing more than that. Said, I should be playing. That's a fact.
Yeah, and if the comments sound explosive, but if you watch him, it's pretty matter of fact. And Kenny Galladay's a pretty good guy. He sounds like he just said what he thinks. And when Brian Daboll was asked about it, he basically said, that's what I want. That's a competitive player. You want to see a player who wants to be on the field. That said, he has not been on the field. And whether it's, I know we've all talked about the contract, and certainly that is a massive, massive, fully guaranteed contract. But the fact that his play hasn't earned him more snaps is, I would say concerning. Do you get to a breaking point? Maybe, because, Tom, as you know, one of the best ways to hurt a locker room is to have a high-priced veteran not playing as much as he wanted and just have him in the locker room. It rarely goes well. I would say his playing time on Monday night is going to be extremely telling. If it's a lot, then perhaps our question's answered. If it's not a lot, we can sort of see which way it's going.
One of the questions Kenny Golladay was asked, Ian, was about whether or not he would request a trade. And Golladay kind of pushed that aside, wouldn't answer directly, just said that his focus is moving forward with the Giants. But the reality is, if anybody wanted to trade for Kenny Golladay toward the end of the preseason and up until cutdown day, they could have done it. It's hard right now for the Giants to move a player with a $13 million fully guaranteed salary. There's not a lot of teams from a cap perspective that could take that on, particularly when it's a player that everybody is wondering, with what happened at the end in Detroit and now with what's happening with the Giants, whether or not that's even going to make sense to pursue it somewhere down the line here.
Right. When you say, are you going to ask for a trade? Yes, sure. But, Tom, to your point, who is taking that contract?
To where?
That is not going to happen. Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, thank you. Again, the Giants 2-0 with or without Kenny Golladay.